Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video. It's Earth 2 again. What a surprise. Now, normally my videos are just me kind of ripping into Earth 2 about dumb things they say, dumb things they do. But today we've actually got quite a nice treat. We've got a video from Earth 2 vlog number 1, World Rendering Progress Procedurally Generated Versatility at Scale. And this seems to have created a hell of a lot of hype in the Earth 2 community, which is understandable because I always look forward to their videos too, so believe it or not. But it seems to have created it for the wrong reason. And that reason seems to be that this is some sort of groundbreaking technology. And I kind of want to demystify that today. So the Earth 2 community quite often say to me, unless you're speaking absolute facts, don't speak them at all. And that's kind of hard to do with Earth 2, which is based off of essentially nothing. So today we're going to be taking a quick look through this 5-minute video that has generated so much hype in the community, and without kind of ripping on them, I'm just going to straight up demystify what all of this means and show you that this is quite literally nothing source. So let's don the headset and let's go. Okay, let's do this.
Dear Earth 2 players and community, welcome to the first installment of our developer blog, where we'll be providing periodic updates and insight into parts of key technical developments that segments of our engineering team have been focusing on and prototyping. These vlogs will be confined to progress on developments we're comfortable with becoming public, and for confidentiality reasons may not accurately reflect what our team is actively working on at the point in time the vlog is published.
So that's the first important thing. This may not accurately represent what the team is actually working on. Now, that can be taken two ways. That can be taken as either, oh, they were working on this, but at the current moment that you're seeing this video, they're not. Or it could be quite easily taken as what we're showing you is essentially worthless in the grand scale of things, because this may not be how it turns out. And that's always a really good clause to put in there. And if used correctly with the right intentions, it's fine. But I have a feeling it's being used in a very disingenuous way. But we'll get to why. Remember, these are technologies that they are working on and prototyping. That's going to be important in a bit.
While some of these topics may reflect work in progress and open research, we'd still like to share our approach, and where feasible, explain our progress and how we've chosen to address and implement many of the broader rendering, persistence, and technical challenges that will ultimately enable various aspects of Earth 2's metaverse to become a reality. One of the most exciting development areas for Earth 2 is our advanced terrain rendering engine, which is relevant for our longer-term Phase 3 implementation plans, and is a major focus of our 3D open-world developmental roadmap. It will not only support real-time, photorealistic terrain and environment rendering on a large scale, but also accurately reflect our real-world's topology and locations. In order to achieve this, we've developed a high-performance proprietary rendering pipeline that integrates both height map data with clip mapping and a...
So, first problem here. They have created a proprietary rendering pipeline. And then go on to say height map data and clip mapping. Now, that sounds very technical to people who don't do game dev, who don't do world creation. It's literally standard. This is nothing source. So I will demystify the whole clip mapping thing. We all know what satellite data is, and we all know why they can't just use satellite data, right? Because it's literal terabytes of data that would either need to be on the player's hard drive or streamed to them over the network. So that's an issue. So they're using clip mapping. To boil this down to the very simplest form so that the people who just play games and don't really care about development understand this, it's literally LOD, or level of detail. Now, to give you a really good example that is easy to visualize, imagine a Minecraft style map. You've got tiles or chunks that are made up of, let's say, 512 by 512 pixels. Let's say that's the height map, right? And based on the pixel color or the alpha value, it shapes the land in 512 data points by 512 in the other direction. And you get a decent looking world. Now, that's great. Let's say in the world that tile is the size of London, you know, the center of London. You've got a big view. Perfect. Now, the tile next to it, well, why would you put that at 512 when it's probably going to occupy about 20 pixels on your screen? The answer is you wouldn't. That would be stupid. So you use clip mapping to determine what is near, what is far, and the far away things, you do a less detailed version of them because they don't need to be 4K textures. They don't need to be 512 by 512 data points. So what you would do, as just a quick rough example so that you understand it, you'd take the thing that was 512 by 512 and you'd, depending on how far away it is, you'd say, okay, let's take every 10th data point. So you're now working with a much smaller data set. And the data points in between, you just use linear interpolation to draw a line between them. And you've now got a lower resolution version of the high resolution thing. Minecraft does it. And here's the bit that may surprise you. Every game you have played with open world is using that. It's like a 20-year-old technology. It's nothing new. It's not a technology that they're pioneering as a proprietary kind of solution. It's neither of those. It is literally standard in a game engine to use that. And in fact, to go one step further with this, when you're developing a game, the question is never, like, why should I use it? The question is literally, why would you not? Like, why would you not? In some games, it will, you know, multiply the performance of that game, depending on the size, to a magnitude of possibly 300 times faster, depending on how big the world you're in is. So it's kind of bizarre that they're even pushing this as a feature or as a proprietary technology. It's quite literally not. Well, let's carry on anyway.
And looking to enhance with the use of satellite imagery data. When looking into this, our R&D team soon discovered a number of reasons why the direct utilization of a real-world satellite imagery dataset would not be practical, or even substantial enough for application within the Earth 2 metaverse. Some of the reasons for this being the inconsistency with image quality and resolution, because satellite imagery varies drastically in quality depending on the location around the globe.
This is also something that a lot of the YouTubers pointed out. It's inconsistent data on satellites. We've seen Microsoft Flight Simulator and how much of a mess that was when using satellite data. You've got buildings that were just stretched right across a city. You've got skyscrapers that were projected sideways, lying down across the city. There were just so many inconsistencies. The black holes in the map where they'd literally not scanned that part of the world. So it wasn't a complete map. And they can't go around manually repairing every black void that appears in satellite data. Then you've got inconsistencies with the height of the satellite at that time of day, shadows being, you know, cast onto mountains. There's a slew of problems, not to mention the absolute monolithic dataset size to have the entire world in its entirety by satellite data in a game. It's not feasible, but they're about to go on to say that basically we were right about all that.
Exposure and white balance also vary, causing resolution changes and artifacts to appear inside the satellite imagery itself. The presence of shadows becomes problemsome when images contain self-shadowing from mountains, as well as clouds. The inconsistency in lighting and perspective, as lighting conditions vary drastically based on the time an image was photographed, a problem further enhanced when images are taken from different angles, resulting in perspective distortion. Man-made structures also present an obvious issue, as satellite imagery displays many such structures in populated areas, cities and agricultural areas being the biggest contributing factors. We want Earth 2 to begin as a pristine and untouched virtual version of our Earth. The sheer size of the data means that even if we did manage to resolve all these issues across the entire data set, working out ways to stream the many terabytes of information would likely create things like streaming artifacts and inevitably consume bandwidth and slow tile loading. Therefore, while researching ways to work around these issues and striving to retain the beauty and variety that satellite imagery provides to virtual terrains, we came up with this solution. What you see in this video is a prototype solution in which we are synthesizing satellite data on the fly without any form of direct reliance on costly, oversized imagery data. This becomes evident while using our new, recently researched and developed parametric and procedural approach. As you can see, we can change the look of the terrain in real time at scale as we please.
Their new parametric and procedural solution. It's not new. It is literally not new. In fact, you can get a plugin to make parametric procedural worlds. In fact, it's another one of those cases of why would you not take that approach? This whole video is essentially them discovering the basics of any sort of composed world. And it's kind of odd, the timing of this. Like, I don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but did you notice that when all the YouTubers started covering Earth 2, they stopped putting out any sort of visual, any sort of gameplay, any sort of teasers? And now that it's all gone quiet on the YouTube front, they seem to be posting again. I don't think that's a coincidence. And the reason for that is quite simple. When so many eyes were on this project from, YouTubers and the viewers of the YouTubers, they had a lot of game devs, a lot of game artists looking at this for what it is. Nothing source, basic engine features. And they know they're gonna get called out on it. Quite simply. That's why they're using, instead of saying level of detail or LOD, that's why they're saying clip mapping. Because they're hoping that the average audience don't realize that literally every game is using this. Google any of the terms that they used in this video, and you'll find out that it's 10, 15, 20-year-old technology from the game industry. And it is used in pretty much every game. Every game with a big world is using this, because it's not achievable without it. So this is just them on a journey of enlightenment, realizing, damn, these are basic things that are required to do any level of a large game. It's amateur hour. This isn't new. And I also want to point out, they're not clip mapping this scene currently. At least not in the way that they're saying. Because clip mapping has a noticeable pop-in on things in the distance, depending on the settings. It may be that they've just got the clip mapping resolution so high that it's not noticeable, but then again, it's not performant, and it kind of defeats the purpose of clip mapping. There's a lot of problems in this video, and I'm going to get through all of them.
While relying on height map data for the visuals, we are in fact able to derive a lot of useful information from the height data alone, such as surface detail, steepness, and curvature. To simulate the look of different geographical areas, we use something called biome indexing. Biomes are a way to classify large areas based on climate patterns, temperature, soil types, vegetation, and wildlife. Basically, this allows us to have different visual parameters displayed in real time at different locations. Some of our existing biome parameters consist of forest color, coverage, and height range, which combine to define the tree line. Ground foliage, grass and shrubs coverage, color and height range. Snow height and coverage based on curvature.
So here we go. Biome index mapping. Sounds very technical. Incredibly technical indeed. This is a pioneered technology as well, by the way. It's, again, in literally every game that has a procedurally generated forest or world. Minecraft uses it. It is depending on the implementation you use, in Minecraft, it is a color graded image that colors the chunks. So let's say you've got the world map, all the chunks in Minecraft. Let's say there's 32 chunks by 32 chunks. They have a 32 image by 32 image. And they color each one of those pixels to indicate the biome that it is. Again, these are pretty much standard in all game engines. You can do these out of the box. 30 minutes maybe to set one up. So the way it would work is, let's say a yellow pixel on this map means it's a desert. So whenever the procedurally generated foliage tries to place something, it will check, okay, let's refer to this area that I'm trying to place on the biome map. It's a desert. Okay, let's not put a palm tree there. Let's not put a birch tree there. Let's put some sort of desert lily or a cactus out of the list of things that should go in that biome. It's literally bare bones basic things that are required. Again, it's really odd. And the snow coverage. So, as someone who has recently implemented snow coverage into Nightmare World, I can tell you that they're using the same implementation. It's a height-based linear interpolation based on a downward projection. Basically, if it's projecting down, it will be able to see the surface, right? So then it excludes the surfaces that it can't see, where snow would not fall down on it. And then the snow height on the mountain is a height-based linear interpolation. It's a very standard implementation of this in practically every game that has a snowfall weather system. I don't know what to say. There's nothing new here. They're just preying on the people that don't know these technical terms. And of course, in this, they also have like a panning cloud noise map moved into this height interpolation to just give it a nice sweeping fade over, so it's not just like a downward fade or an upwards fade. It's got a sideways fade too. That's just to show this off to you guys. It's kind of sad. It's just purling noise thrown in to make it look cool for the video, which, you know what, that's fine. Make it look cool for the video. But don't promote it as something that's new. And the waterline level is literally a height-based linear interpolation as well. Again, nothing new.
And we have many more we look forward to displaying in the future as well. Our artists are working on optimization of the parameters for each biome and programmatically compare the results with referenced satellite imagery data. In this video, we also chose to animate a...
So you can see here that this is a limited size plane. And I said earlier that I don't believe they're using clip mapping in this. Reason being, if you've got a high resolution thing next to a low resolution thing, and you're looking from a top down, well, let's say there's 512 points of data along the edge of that tile. And on the next one, there's less. They're not going to line up properly. They're going to not connect. Therefore, revealing where the clip mapping is. Because they're looking from a top down. The reason they've chose such a small area in the, the grand scale of things is because if they went any bigger without clip mapping, it wouldn't run. If they went any bigger with clip mapping, it would be noticeable where there are just like big fissures through, straight lines through the world. It's just a kind of trick of the eye to make it look more impressive than it is. You can get a demo level twice the size of this example with clip mapping already done for you on the Unreal Engine Marketplace or the Unity Asset Store. Again, not new technology. Very available for even the smallest of indie devs to take advantage of, and they do on a daily basis.
Terrain height offset with static height based parameters like sea level and snow height ranges to
terrain based height offset, height data, satellite height data. Height mapping is built into every engine. It's just bizarre that they're selling these as new pioneer technology. It's quite literally not. In fact, we use height-based landscape projection in our voxel implementation in Nightmare World. And guess what? We never thought to even mention it because it's required. This is just one step above saying, oh, we're texturing models. The reason they haven't said that like it's a new technology is because it's a visual thing that you all can disprove as false. But this is back-end stuff. This is black magic mystery to you guys. So let's just jumble words together and take something that is absolutely essential to any large-scale game to run and make it sound like wizardry, new wizardry.
Display just how versatile our solution is. Layered on top is an early version of our atmospheric rendering solution, which we'll describe in more detail during a subsequent vlog entry. It's worth mentioning that the shader used to produce this graphical effect is only responsible for visualizing Earth from long-range distances. For short-range viewing, we'll be blending our newly developed...
And I hate to be picky, but the atmospheric solution, I'm going to place good money on this, that they have absolutely used the atmosphere plugin that is both on Unreal and Unity. It's like $9. And it achieves this exact effect. It's got an atmosphere that kind of feels realistic. And in fact, it was such a good plugin that Unreal have recently added it as a standalone feature in the engine. You can create an atmosphere by drag and drop. I am very on the fence about this, on how much of this is genuinely work they've done. It might very well be work that they've done. They might have remade it to suit their thing a bit better, but they haven't pioneered anything.
Developed technology with a close-up, detailed rendering system. In fact, an upgraded version to the one we've showcased in the past. Please keep in mind that what you see here is a work in progress being developed as a proof of concept prototype by Earth 2. While it already looks fantastic, we're only showcasing an area of roughly 600,000 square kilometers.
Which is actually quite a convenient number, because 600,000 square kilometers is the number that most people seem to go with for their demo levels on the Unity Asset Store or the Unreal Asset Store. I'm not quite sure if this is just Shane trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes, or if the people he's hired to do this are pulling the wool over his eyes and he's just none the wiser to the fact that this is nothing new. Genuinely, it's nothing new. You've been able to do this for a very long time.
Progress and results so far are very promising, and our dev team is heavily focused on delivering a version that's fully operational on a global scale soon, which will be a significant step toward releasing new opportunities for interaction and gameplay on Earth 2. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more dev vlogs to come.
So, there we have it. That is Earth 2's first devlog. Like I say, I wanted this video to be more of a factual kind of rundown, breakdown of what this is. Because the amount of hype I've seen generated from this is absurd. It's absolutely wild. Here's how I think this is going to go down. They're either going to disappear because they realize that what they're doing isn't possible on the scale that they're trying to do it, or they're going to deliver a product that's not even half of what they promised. The desirability of this was based off the fact it doesn't exist currently, and it can't currently exist. So if you reel it back in a bit, and say, well, we'll do this instead, and it's comparable to other stuff we already have, it's no longer desirable. Now, something I want to talk about that really annoys me about the Earth 2 community, and it's a small minority that do this, but I'm going to be getting comments on this off them, and I already know it, saying, you're just spreading FUD. Dude, why are you spreading FUD? Now, for those who don't know, FUD stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's kind of their catch-all response to anyone who is speaking critically, not even necessarily negatively, but critically of their project. Because FUD leads to other people starting to critically think about this. And they don't want you to critically think about this, because if you... Right, I'm going to explain to you what FUD actually is before I go on a rant about this. FUD is just me discussing the observable facts about Earth 2. Here's the issue. The only observable facts that we can discuss do not lend any credibility to them. In fact, they drastically take away from it. So if me discussing observable facts is going to be FUD or the downfall of this project, it never had a chance in the first place. Because all it takes is someone to think, process the information they're being given, and make observations on it, which is what you should do with every project, whether it's crypto or not. It's just that the people who are throwing money hand over fist at this, that don't want to do their research on it, are the ones that will tell you to do your research on it, and then when you do your research on it, you've done the wrong research on it. You're FUD, bro. You're FUD. Stop spreading FUD. Ladies and gents, I hope this has been informative to you, and I actually hope that this has been informative to a lot of the people who are invested in Earth 2, and that they realise that this is nothing source. It's just readily available technology. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be live over on Twitch after this. As always, a massive thank you to the Patreons, and if Twitch isn't your thing, I will catch you in the next one. Until then, take care.